on Australia's business channel. This is Mediaweek.
Hello, welcome to the program. Ahead, APN warns of write-downs, why Rupert Murdoch has stood down from a number of boards, and we'll be comparing the finale numbers for MasterChef to how it fared in previous years. But first, Nine's sales chief has denied newspaper reports that the network's losses on the Olympics could be as much as $40 or even $60 million. Peter Wiltshire thinks that the figure will be closer to $25 million. This comes amid reports that some of Nine Entertainment's original lenders are trying to offload their exposure to the debt pile due to the tough ad markets. Well, our co-host James Manning, the editor and publisher of Mediaweek, is here. And James, of course, you sat down with Peter Wiltshire this week on the Nine News set, actually, in Sydney, as he was about to head off to the Olympics.
Yeah, it was a bit unusual. We took the advantage of using their setup and their cameras in there because we've been trying to get him on the show for a while, but he's been a busy guy. He's actually just arriving in London probably as we go to air today. And we got him on set, talked about that Olympic money, talked about Nine's programming, what ad buyers have liked about it this year, what are the challenges for them sort of when they come back from the Olympics too.
Just focusing on the Olympics, because there have been reports that Nine's been having to sell sort of late packages to media agencies, which is unusual for the Olympics. Obviously, it's seen as such a prime spot for advertisers. What did he have to say about that? Yeah,
he said, you just can't judge an investment that big just on the pure return. Look, I think he sort of didn't say exactly, but look, they would have liked to get a few more dollars through the door. But there's a lot of things. It brings they'll promo a lot of programs that are still to come out of that. People who buy those packages also get worked into the schedule elsewhere. And a few other networks have come out and said, look, things are really tough this week, this year, particularly around now. And Nine didn't foresee that, I guess, when that was their bid.
Obviously put the rights in, bought the rights a few years back. Well, let's have a listen to a little bit of that interview.
Our upfront for the Olympics was really strong. We were in market 2 years out. In fact, July 28, 2010 is when we launched the Games. And we had a very solid upfront period in terms of our sponsor and partner model. The spot market has been difficult, but that's reflective of an economy and a period in Australian media that is a bit tough. But I think in any sport, if you look at the revenue you write in isolation to the broadcast hours, it's pretty hard to make that model look good in any sport you buy. If you look at what sport brings to your format, from a promotional platform, from the ability to work with advertisers in a more deep fashion or integrated fashion, it certainly does pay benefit over a longer period of time.
You're going to London, a lot of your clients will be there, a bit of hospitality, you'll be looking after them. What's harder, to sell sponsorships to the Games or to get those guys good seats at some of the big events?
Actually, the ticketing and the seating is something that is a really big minefield to work through. You have to make a commitment to your hospitality years in advance of actually going and predict what you're going to be doing, 2 or 3 years down the track. So we had to make a commitment up front, and we're now here to enjoy the benefit of that. But at the end of the day, we've got to take the whole thing pretty seriously. It's a major investment for us. It's the biggest thing we write a cheque out for every year, and in terms of a rights fee. And whilst it'll be a great experience, it's also there for us to work with the people we bring over, reward those that have invested in the Games, and give them a chance to enjoy the experience of a lifetime, which will be London, no doubt.
Yeah, great interview there. And of course, we've got more of that interview coming up in the program. But just staying with the Olympics, interesting because we've seen Seven out there saying it's confident it can challenge Nine during the Olympics. What do you think? I mean, generally the Olympics dominate ratings, don't they? What kind of chance did 7 and 10 fare?
Well, you've got it just on history, you think probably pretty slim, but I guess it's a little unknown that because of the time slot in the UK, how will that early evening figures, when there won't be a lot of events. There'll be a few things on in the morning, but in the UK, but it won't be sort of prime time for Olympics. Won't be a lot of finals at that time of day as the Games progress. So it's a little bit of an unknown. 10 have got MasterChef All Stars. Could do pretty well. The MasterChefs ended up doing quite nicely. 7 is keeping a lot of their program. Things like Amazing Races are still running through. So, and there'll be a few new things popping into the schedule. You'd be a brave person to say how too much, but Nine shouldn't have too much trouble winning, you wouldn't think.
Now, Nine shares the rights to the Olympics with Foxtel. What do you think for them? I mean, is the investment going to pay off for Foxtel?
There again, it's It's less of an instant return for Foxtel. It's a it's a long-term thing. It helps retain a lot of customers. You know, the people on the sports packages aren't paying any extra, so it's a sort of nice offering to make them feel good about keeping their subscriptions, lowering churn. Has it put on a lot of new subscribers? We haven't heard much from Foxtel about that. You'd think if that had happened, they'd probably be pumping out releases saying, "Oh, look, our numbers are up." We'll find out, I guess, when they next report their total subscriber numbers, how it's affected them. But I don't think it's going to be a real big burst of new subscribers. It's much like the AFL rights was. It's just something nice to have. It's just a long-term asset that keeps existing people and might just incrementally add them over time.
Now, of course, one of the features, aside from the 8 extra channels, is the iPad app, the tablet app that Foxtel has for the Olympics. It's now up and running. What's it like?
Yeah, sure. Looks going to be my little buddy for the next couple of weeks. And it's pretty much going to be the future of TV, I think. We're getting a look at what will happen. Into the future, Foxtel will probably offer this to subscribers, and you'll be able to stream a bunch of channels, if not all of them eventually, on your iPad as well as part of your subscription deal. Look, this is my favourite window. You get eight channels, so you can really see all the action, and you can click on which one you want and it'll take you there for an update. You get a panel down the side with all the scores, and it's free for existing subscribers. I think a household can run 2 iPads off it as well. You're not limited to just one screen. So so whether you're at work or wherever, and at home if you want to check up as well.
Right, really interesting, to see how it goes. Now, just turning to, I guess, the future and the battle already on for the Rio rights for 2016.
Yeah, I think NBC and BBC have both locked up their deals for Rio, but it's still available for Australia. I don't think that the discussion's been had yet because, of course, Australia pays a little bit less. Well, interestingly, I think the BBC didn't seem to pay a lot. I think it was £60 million. I need to check that, but it was for a couple of games, I think. So, would 9 go again after this? You'd have to think they'd think carefully of it. Talk that 7 wants to get back into it. Of course, they've been the Olympic broadcaster for best part of 20 years or more, I think. Would they want to get back into it? I think there'll be a bit of a reality check given the way the market is. Both networks will probably like it, but you've got to think they're not going to pay the sort of money that rights have been changing hands for recently.
Because it's not just the multi-million-dollar rights, it's also the cost of all the programming.
Yeah, of mounting the broadcast and getting it, sending over your teams. There's hundreds of people there, which is, and the amazing costs they're running up.
Absolutely. All right, let's just turn to some of the other news in the media sector this week. 8 people, including the former CEO of News Corp's British newspaper operations, Rebecca Brooks, have been charged over the UK phone hacking scandal. Just looking at those criminal charges now being laid in this scandal. Sure,
yeah. Look, so far there's been I think it's over 60 different people have been arrested, and so far we've had about less than 20 charges. The charges so far relating to phone hacking and perverting the course of justice. So there's still a whole lot of investigations to come into corrupt payments to officials. There's been arrests there, still no charges about that one. And computer hacking and data theft as well. Been some arrests there, but still no charges there. So this has got a long way to go.
Absolutely. Just staying with News Corp, because we did see Rupert Murdoch step down from a number of boards in the past week. How significant is this?
Yeah, News Corp was saying, look, it's not that big a deal, but I think underlying it, it really probably is. It's, the Murdoch family in particular is just loosening their grip, if you like, on newspapers in general, particularly in the UK. It's the first time since the 60s, I think, they haven't had a sort of a family member on a board. I think it's Prudence Murdoch, which is Rupert's oldest child, is the only person connected from, and she's on the board of the Times, I think, still in the UK. It's perhaps, if you think Rupert Murdoch's maybe been taking some counsel from some of his other executives in the company, saying, you're too close to the newspapers, the company's split now. He's going to focus on the entertainment division and saying, look, step back a little bit from the newspapers and let some other people perhaps guide it forward.
We've seen the Australian TV executive David Hill get a new global role with News Corp.
Yeah, of course, back in Nine, in the early days of Wide World of Sport, he did great things for the sports brand there. He was snapped up by News Corp, been working at Fox Sports, been the CEO in the US for a long time, and they've sort of promoted him now to a global position. He's going to look over all programming and investigate digital opportunities. So it's a big jump for him.
We've obviously seen a lot of the media companies, especially on the share market, struggling, share prices hitting all-time lows. Got reporting season coming up. APN coming out and warning that it may be writing down its New Zealand publishing business.
Yeah, you've got to think there's probably some news around the corner that might be great when they report. All those media companies have been under pressure. And they've had a hard time on the markets this week. I think Seven and Fairfax in particular. Yeah, but there'll be some amazing things, won't it, when we get all those figures, and we'll go through them each week on the show and sort of analyse what's gone wrong and what the outlook is for all those people.
Still, obviously, a lot of deals going on. We've seen private equity, Media, come in and buy Ten's outdoor business.
Yeah, we've talked a bit about before. We had Brendan Cook in here talk about Champ, invested in Media, virtually took them over. They were one of three companies looking at speculation the price would be between 120, 150 million. Ended up going for 120, but it was a bit of a sort of a difficult to grasp deal. There's another 25 million due, but that's not due for another 3 years. It's not linked to any sort of performance hurdles they have to get over. And the international businesses are not part of the deal either. Sort of will manage them for the time being, but if they can't find a buyer, Ten has to take them back, so it's all a bit messy.
Yeah, it reports too during the week, of course, that private equity TPG was possibly looking at a bid for Nine as well. Just moving on to radio, we've got a couple of bits of news there. Digital Radio Day coming up, that's set down for August 24 to celebrate.
Yeah, it's a Friday. We covered it on the show. I think we did a broadcast from there. It's already 3 years ago. It's a long time, isn't it? When they first launched digital radio. It's 5 cities again, so they're going to celebrate. All the breakfast shows will get together in one place in each of the 5 metro capitals, broadcast, something over 50 stations in general. The commercial stations, ABC and SBS, are involved. In Sydney, they're moving from Martin Place down to Fleet Park, which I think that's called Fleet Park. It's just beside Circular Quay, where Justin Bieber had his concert recently. So they'll be all broadcasting there, and we'll probably try and cover it somehow this year too.
All right, plenty more to ask you about James coming up on Media Week. We are going to bring you more of James's interview with Nine Sales Chief Peter Wiltshire.